In addition to that, we've altered the number of parent conference days to try to decrease the number of half-day interruptions and increase instructional time. And I think when we did that, you were absent. I was. That you were thinking about.
I watched it.
Matt did that. And we're going to be scheduling for the first time, I think, in Easton's history, a trimester scheduled for the elementary schools, which is something that's been recommended to us for a long time by our staff members. One of the greatest challenges we've had this year is the thinking through the restructuring of our elementary schools. And we have, once again, we brought that to somewhat of a close in that we were able to readjust our boundaries so that we equalize. Realizing a $5 million savings in a project because we could empty the building out. I don't want you to forget about Project Lead the Way, and along the way you have endorsed that, and you have been very supportive of us getting Project Lead the Way into the high school, and that is yielding very impressive results. And I wish I could, and maybe we will, be able to get some of those students who are involved in that engineering program here so you can see the level of thinking and the level of problem solving that that program leads students to. My guess is that any of the teams of kids that I was asked to go out and watch them do what they call a what's the word? Capstone. Thank you. Capstone project for the end of the year, and I was so unbelievably impressed. I could not believe that I had high school students standing in front of me. At the time, these students were describing through photographs and physical evidence their problem-solving process in creating something. Truly impressionable learning and impressive learning. So that's underway. That is also, like all quality programs, it carries a price tag. And you've supported that thus far. I hope we can continue to support what Project Lead the Way costs, so we can continue to add that to our engineering program at the high school. The Equity Plan and Diversity Alliance we've finally brought a formal draft of that plan to the board, and hopefully you'll agree in concept with it and move it further along. Once again, this is not the be-all and end-all, but it is something that we can use as a foundation for all of our activities and making sure we bring equity to all students and all staff members in the school district, all families as well. The other big thing, we had the middle school restructuring. And that middle school restructuring went from a 5 to 8 building. We went from that to a 6, 7, 8 building for this coming school year. And that took changes in staffing and also in the instructional process within that building. But we've moved on. Part of what's happening there is, of course, our effort to narrow the tracks at the middle school. So with this word equity in mind, and making sure that all of our students have a greater chance of being exposed to our most challenging curriculum. I also want to mention that we continued to implement our community school programs at both Paxnos and Cheston this year. We partnered with Penn State in a successful employability grant that's going to help 30 or so students in our high school to get employed this summer, which wouldn't have happened if we didn't do that. We learned last week that we became we were the second district in the state to be recognized for our kindergarten transition program in Easton. That carried with it an $8,000 award, which seldom happens anymore. And we lifted off our cyber school. Our cyber school is functioning and moving forward. So there are lots of things that I hope that this purpose is to remind you and all of us collectively of the things that we were able to accomplish as we bring this year to a close and we look at the challenges that are coming up. And for the next board meeting, I'm going to try to list some of those challenges that are ahead of us because they're very numerous and very important. But on behalf of the administration and staff, and on behalf of the thousands of kids that go to school here, I want to thank the board for all that you've supported in making this year better than last, and I'm sure making next year better than this one. And that means a lot in what we're doing, and I thank you deeply for all that you're doing. That's all I have. Okay.
Reports. A, CIU 20, Ms. Price.
Okay. The IU had the graduation in May 24th at the Colonial Academy in Wind Gap. And for the past 23 years, they've had the graduation services there, or have graduation services for our students. I spoke about this before, but the QPR suicide prevention training, ask a question, save a life. You can get training at the IU. The QPR coordinator for the IU is Ken Smith, and if there's any questions about the program, and basically its steps are question, persuade, refer. And it's important because suicide prevention, especially now with all the going on online, there's more issues that people don't realize. Suicide prevention, anyone can really help. But you need to know how to help. If you want extra, the student or teacher training can be provided at the IU, and it's only 1 to 2 hour increments, or part of it in a full day training or student assembly. And that to schedule a training, you can contact Mr. Smith at ksmith@ciu20.org. And that's something that I think some of us might want to look into. I actually got to meet the last meeting, And we had a big presentation about all the services that the IU provides, from early intervention all the way to life skills to post-secondary help for learning job skills training. And the main thing that I found was interesting is that early intervention has really, numbers have gone up immensely, but the number one area that has gone up is autistic support. More and more autistic support classrooms are being set up within our districts. And so that's something that I thought that you'd be interested to know about. And I guess if you have any questions about any of the programs that the IU provides.
Any questions?
No?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Letter B, the Public Library, Mr. Fatal.
I was unable to make that meeting the first one, so it will be in attendance in the future.
Can I make one comment? Just want to say, I'm sorry that I did have to resign last time from the library board. I did enjoy my time there. And also to remind everybody about the 1, 2, 3 read, is that? We're doing the reading program this year. And so, that's it.
Thank you. Letter C, CIT, Ms. Hess, Vanderberg, or Weiss.
There's no report.
Community College, Mr. Fatal, or Dr. Walking.
No report, we don't have a meeting until August.
Foundation for Eastern Schools, Mr. Buscemi.
During the 2015-16 academic year, the foundation funded 37 teacher grants totaling $14,379. With fundraising effort grants, EIT donations, and private donations, they raised an additional $43,956 to fund such programs as Sizzle, Project Lead the Way, and various other programs. The goals going forward remain the same: to raise money for educational programming and build community support for public education in Easton. That's the extent of the report.
Thank you. Letter F, Charles Schwinn Science and Technology Initiative, Mr. Monahan.
No report.
Legislative G, Mr. Fatal.
Yes, it's an interesting time right now as we come to the close of June. The word still is we're trying to get a budget before they have to recess for the conventions and everything. Let's wait and see if that really happens. And as far as the pensions, that seems that it went into a committee now between the House and the Senate to talk about any kind of pension reform.
Thank you. I don't see anyone from PTA, EAEA, or bus drivers, but I think it's appropriate at this time. Letter J, bus drivers, Ms. Helen Jones is not here, but if we could take a short moment of silence for her son who passed away yesterday. Thank you. Before we move on to number 5, we have the high school principal in the audience, Mr. Geiger. Mr. Geiger, I believe you have somebody with you. Would you like to make the introduction?
Sure. Over the last week and a half or so, we've had an opportunity to interview for the 2 positions at Easton Area High School, the assistant principal positions. It's been a privilege to go through the interview process. One of the 2 candidates that were successful candidates is here, Mr. Scott Reidinger. I can say a few words. I worked alongside Scott as a teacher for a number of years, teaching 12th grade together, so I've worked with him in that capacity, and I look forward to working with him in this capacity as well. He's a full-on professional, so I have a lot of respect for what he has done in the classroom, and I certainly believe he'll be a successful administrator for us as well. Scott Reidinger. The other successful candidate was Andrew Maynard. He is currently finishing up what he is doing in his school district in New York. He has a number of years of administrative experience. He comes to us after moving to New York in the last year, but worked in Bangor School District as an administrator. Another pleasure to interview, easy to listen to, and really had a great process through the process. Did a great job, and we look forward to working with him as well and getting him on board as soon as we can, given his circumstances of having to move back to the area. So those 2 gentlemen will be adding to the administrative team that is obviously a changed face to that building, and I look forward to working with them as well as the existing members as well.
Mr. Bradley, would you like to say a few words? You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I'm
If
just,
you'd like to.
I've served the students of the district for 11 years, and I'm looking forward to continuing that in a new capacity, and thank you to the board for all that you do for our students as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Number 5, committee reports. Athletics, Mr. Obi.
Yes, again, just want to say congratulations to Jamar Billman, who is our new wrestling head coach. We had a successful spring sports with the baseball team, doing a great job this year. And there is several students who's progressing and going on to college to play and on scholarships in our sports program. So that's it, the report of that.
Thank you. Do we have any other standing committee reports? Seeing none. Number 6, is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard on agenda items only? Please sign in, state your name, and where you're from.
My name is Ellen Heath. I live at 266 Taylor Avenue in Easton, and I'm president of the Board of Trustees of the Easton Area Public Library. We received a phone call, or our library director, Jennifer Stocker, who is in Florida attending the American Library Association convention, received a phone call late this afternoon from Mr. Pintabone, explaining to her that tonight in the vote to renew our 2 library board members whose terms are ending, that those 2 library board members would not be renewed, and that they would be replaced by 2 school board members. And this
Just for clarification,
Yes.
I called yesterday and today.
Oh.
There's 3 positions, I believe. The board in the district has decided to put 2 current board members in those positions, and we're going to advertise for the 3rd, which is an advisory position. We're going to advertise and allow someone from the public to take that advisory position at another meeting.
I'm confused. So you're not going to have a school board representative on the library?
We're going to have 2 members on the library board, 2 current school board members. And
But-
then we're going to have an outside person as
But
the
the
advisory.
school board representative is not going to be a member of the library. Is that
Correct. Correct.
Okay. This is very confusing to us, and we'd like to understand why 2 outstanding library board members are going to be replaced. It is the recommendation of Commonwealth Libraries that library board members serve for 2 terms, their 2nd term being the most productive after they've learned. Both of these library board members have served for 1 term. They've done an outstanding job. Betsy Walker came to us after working at 3rd Street Alliance. She has streamlined and dramatically improved our fundraising effort. She has helped to bring a grant to put fire prevention, what's it called, Betsy? The fire suppression system in our Marks room to protect the Easton flag. Tim Riley served on your school board, and then when he finished his time on the school board, 12 years, he'd been a representative to our library board and asked to remain on the library board. So to choose to replace these 2 is of great concern to us. They have so much to offer us. It's also never done, as far as I know, that 2 people asked to be on the library board who haven't met with the library director. I don't know if you've read the library board description of the job of a library board member. I have it with me. It includes owning a library card.
Ma'am, if I could just say,
Yeah.
and I believe
I
you
know
do
you
have
do. I know
two
you
card
do.
carrying member, Ms. Jody,
Yes,
would be
I know
one.
that.
It wasn't in response to any Mr. Riley or any of the members. It's a direction that the board has the ability to change at any time. and the board and the administration decided that this is the way they want to go. There's no issue with Mr. Riley that we know of, or the other member. It has nothing to do with them. We have 2 board members who really would like to be a part of it. They learned a lot recently, and they want to be a part of the board, and the board and the administration like that. Ms. Stocker, speaking to her, she thought it was a good thing hearing that board members wanted to be on there, from what she told me today, and that's how that came about. So in no way is it a reflection of any current library members. The positions are up for renewal, and just like any other position, someone else could take that position or they could be reappointed, and this is the direction that the district and the board has decided to go.
Can you explain a little bit more clearly about, Mr. Fainall had been selected to be a representative to our board. That makes him a voting member of the board. Why is that not still a good thing?
Well, only because during public comment, we really don't go back and forth. If you would like to stay afterward, we can definitely sit down and have a talk. I don't have a problem with that at all. But again, as I said, it has nothing to do with current members, and the advisory position is going to be advertised, and we will interview people from the public who would like to have that position, and we will appoint somebody to that position. If you'd like to stay afterward or schedule a meeting at another time, I'd be more than happy to sit down and get board members and Mr. Reinhardt, we can sit down and have that discussion.
May I give the library board trustee description to the
For anyone who
folks
hasn't
would
seen it,
like
raise your
to,
hand and definitely.
with the 2 folks who are planning to come onto the board, because it includes such things as making a significant personal financial contribution to the library, serving as an emissary for the library throughout the community, attending trustee training. So I don't know that.
I don't think, ma'am, that our members would have any issues with any piece of that criteria. I think they'll be able to.
I just expected they would
meet and exceed.
explore it before asking to serve.
Well, I think just because ma'am, that they didn't speak to you doesn't mean they didn't explore it. I think you're assuming. But we can have that conversation again afterward if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public who would like to be heard? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Betsy Walker. You referred to me as the other member.
I'm sorry, I didn't know your name, but Ms. Betsy Walker.
Ms. Betsy Walker.
Ms. Betsy Walker.
2764 Queen Street in Easton, Pennsylvania. And I am asking you, no, I'm going to start off there. I would like to express my extreme disappointment. I was told by a very wise man that you would say you were going in a different direction and that it would be a done deal. But if I did not speak my piece, I would be angry with myself. And I am not a person who normally stands up and says, hey, good job, me. I'm an Easton High School graduate. I taught in the school district. I have been good enough to serve on 2 school district committees. My expertise as an educator and my work in development, I think, put me in a unique situation to serve the library well. And so, when I was appointed to the library in 2014, I replaced someone who had been on the board for a really long time. And then after that, several people left who had been on for a long time also. And so it was my expectation that if I had done a good job, and I think that I have, that I would continue in that capacity. Now, I understand that I don't necessarily get a choice in this, but I will tell you right now that there is no one who feels that the library is as important as I feel it is to me. And so when you say it's nothing personal, it is personal to me, because I am the one who is being deprived of a position, and now you tell me you're going to the community to get an advisory person. I know that all of you must be aware that if you want increased school board participation, that we have concerned citizens who come to the library boards. The library meetings, like yours, are open to the public. So anyone who wants to get involved or who wants to know what we are doing is more than welcome to do that. So I guess my big question is, if you were being relieved of a job that you really liked, you'd want to know why. And going in another direction is one of those phrases that I think has lost its meaning for me. And the second thing is that I would respectfully ask you that you might want to reconsider that decision. In the 3 years that I have served on the library, I have not missed a single meeting. And in that time, it has been very difficult, given the responsibilities that you all have for school district people, to make meetings. We changed our meetings. Michelle came, and it was very hard for her to make those meetings. So you have in Tim and in me 2 people who are committed to what we do, and I would ask that you reconsider that suggestion. If you think that we are doing something that needs to be, that you need to know about, you are all welcome to come. So, as Betsy Walker, board member, I will still continue to be someone who has been involved with this particular library for more than 60 years. And I think that goes for something. I'm going to stop here because I don't see how I can take it other than personally, but that's up to you.
Thank you.
That's you didn't sign it.
Sorry, Tim. You sign my name. It's not a public, I'm not going to, like a contract, right?
No.
Sorry.
Good evening, I'm Timothy Riley. I reside at 320 West Nesquehoning Street in the city of Easton. I come to you as a current board member of the Easton Public Library. At last meeting, I was asked and nominated by the library for reappointment. And as with past practice, I expected my reappointment to follow through the school board. But the last minute, we find out things have changed. It's not the normal past practices that have gone on before. So personally, I'd like to know what was wrong with my service that I shouldn't be considered for nomination to reappoint. Is it unsatisfactory? Was it something that you wanted more from us we didn't do? I know this isn't a place for dialogue. These are just rhetorical questions you can think about and maybe get back to me later. Also, I'd like to know if anyone can reference the policy the board has on appointing people to the board. As far as I know, there is none. Is there one?
Charter. It's just a charter.
Right, there should be a policy or procedure on how to do it, because when I sat in those seats for 12 years, we did it 3 different ways. First, it was the board nominated someone to the position, and the school board appointed them. And then we had a school board member come on and thought we should do it differently, and so we posted the position, we advertised it, we took candidates in, interviewed them, and we selected someone. When that person left the board, we went back to what was past practice, as the library would nominate someone and the school board would appoint them. That's how I was put on to fill out the unexpired term of a former member. So I'd like to know what the policy is. Is it a win? What you feel like today? Is there a written procedure? And if you don't have a procedure, you need to get one, and you need to reference the state library code. And if Mr. Solicitor would take a second to get his pen out and write down the following, it's Chapter 39 of the Education Code. It's the library code. Section 9318, Local Library Governance. Subparagraph A, number 3. The municipal officers of a municipality, which is the school board, shall not appoint more than 2 members of a local library board if the municipality, which is the school board, maintains or aids the local library that was established prior to June 14th, 1961. So state code says you're not allowed to appoint more than 2 people, but you've appointed all 7 board members. I was wondering how you can justify that with your policies and procedures going against what the library code says that you should be doing. And finally, you said that the third position will be an advisory position. The library bylaws don't have an advisory position to the board. You're a voting member, or you're not you're a member of the public. And from the voting members, we have certain officers. So when you use the term advisory member, I don't understand how that fits into the bylaws and structure of the library board. There's no such positions.
That was brought to our attention today by Ms. Stocker. I don't know. She also said they could be a voting member as well on the advisory, but we said we were going to outsource it.
So we still need 7 voting members. If you're an advisory member, that's still a position that's open. You can have an advisory member as a member of the public there, yes.
But they can still vote, it wouldn't be open.
Excuse me?
They can still have a vote.
Now, if they're advisory,
According to Ms. Stocker today, they can still vote.
well, then they're not advisory, then
But
they're
she said
voting
it would
member.
be labeled as advisory. You'd have to talk to her at that point, and we can talk about it later. But I just got that from her.
Okay,
Yeah, I got it from her.
those things need to be explained, I think.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Frank, can I ask a question here then? Is there a reason, do we have to vote on it tonight? Can it be voted on next month? Is that a possibility so that we can get some of this clarified with Ms. Stocker?
Doesn't matter to me. It's up to the board and the administration.
Is that an issue?
No, I agree. I think we should revisit it a little bit and see, to ensure that we have all the...
It did happen kind of fast, so what I would like to do is if we're going to wait, then we advertise the positions to the public. We'll have more than let the public come and...
I just wanted
But no,
clarification
it shouldn't be that.
from her, then if she's saying, and it doesn't seem that that's what it is, I want to make sure that we're not doing something wrong and that we do put the right people in those positions.
Well, I think we
That's all.
should,
I
our
just wanna make sure.
solicitor should have that information, correct?
Fine, then I think we need clarification with Ms. Stocker and have that conversation, so if we can move that, have the conversation and put it on for next month's agenda.
And I think we should capture in writing that how this process is going to
And
work
I don't
so
have,
that we can
I don't
be
have a problem
consistent
putting a
moving forward.
process and a policy in place
I
to
agree.
make sure that we do that.
Who sets the rules of library? The board, the district, the library? Don?
I know John looked at it.
Well, the board sets its own procedure. The library code and the charter talks to who has the ability, the board has the ability to appoint, but as far as the procedure for appointment, the board sets that. And apparently, there's been different procedures in the past. I'm really not familiar with what has been done in the past, but the board can set the procedure.
Okay, well, then we definitely need to table this so
And
that we
that's
can
what I
get a
said.
procedure and make sure that it is
And
correct.
we'll follow that.
So who wants to be in charge? Mr. Fano and Ms. Hess, if you could work on creating the procedure since it's up to the board?
That's fine.
For
We can
drafting it
contact
up?
Ms. Stocker and the legal counsel and make sure that we have everything all cleared up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I can count on you two to get the ball rolling?
Yep.
So does that mean we're going to post for all 3 positions then?
Yeah,
I
Okay.
think
we should.
before we post for all 3 positions, I'd like clarification with Ms. Stocker and the solicitor and make sure, and then we can also come up with a procedure or policy.
Maybe Judy, just
And we
bring it
can-
back to...
Correct.
But I think before we vote, we should open it up to everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
So we would definitely open it up and see who wants to come forward, like we did at 14.
Yeah, but I think you have to wait for the procedure before you do any advertising.
You probably need to hold the structure. We need to hold on a second before we start treasuring. That's the latest idea.
Well, let them two work it out and come back with whatever they come
That's
back
what we'll
with.
do.
Yeah.
We'll
All right.
figure out, we'll talk with Ms. Stocker, we'll talk with the solicitor, and we'll come back with what.
Now, Betsy's currently our treasurer. If she's not reappointed, and by the end of the month, there's no one to sign checks.
The end of June?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why,
Well, if Ms. Hess would like to table it, so it goes back to Ms. Hess. I mean, you would want to ask for table, so it would have to go back to you.
There's no backup, but usually we have 2 people.
Well, when does it have to be? End of July or June?
June 30th, Betsy
June.
would rotate off the board unless she's reappointed.
Can we do temporary for 1 month? Or
Can
no?
we do an extension?
No.
Yeah, an extension for 1 month, so that we can get this.
I think it's either going to, I mean, you know, unfortunately, this came to my attention in the last couple of days. It looks like, I mean, there needs to be a vote made this evening.
For some way, so you can't do it just for like summer?
It's a 3-year position.
Term.
Yeah,
Term.
can't go temporary.
Yeah, I think it's a point for a term.
So, can I just clarify? So, Mrs. Walker is the treasurer currently, or the board member?
I am a board member who serves as the treasurer.
As the treasurer, so we don't have a separate.
So my question then is, okay, say you weren't appointed or you decided to leave, someone else would then have to be appointed as the
That's
treasurer.
correct. That's correct.
And when would that happen?
Well, I guess in the beginning, we thought it would be just rolling over. So you'd have to, the library board does not meet in July and August. It meets in September. And in the meantime, I go in each month in addition to signing checks, and I'm the other person who is the checks and balances on checks written against. It's just our auditor thought that was a second set of eyes that looked at things to make sure that everything was done correctly.
So there is somebody else that can sign
Well,
checks?
there's a bit. Jennifer signs the checks. I'm the second signer.
Takes two seconds.
Right.
To sign it.
Oh, you have to do something.
So what would happen if you were sick or something would happen to you when you couldn't sign the check? What would
Well, if
happen?
I died, someone else would take my place. But in the meantime, I haven't missed any. I've always signed appropriate papers, and I had to sign the papers to be bonded.
So there's no procedure or policy that if you're not able to, there's nothing in writing, backbiting?
I believe
Because it
that.
just don't stop because they're not there, is what we're trying to say.
I mean, there has to be a backup for
There has to be
that.
a
I mean,
I believe that as president, I would get bonded and signed.
Okay. Received an email from our solicitor that basically says we can appoint who we want, when we want, how we want, whatever. However, don't do that. Don't get upset. It's going to be okay. I'm working it out. I promise you I'm working it out. This happened too fast. It's a 2-year term.
3 year.
3 year. It's a one year's been up.
No.
You're being reappointed for the second?
For the second, third year term.
The second,
second
third
3
year
year
term.
term. Yeah, they get, yes.
And the treasurer, your role as treasurer, what exactly do you do?
I sign checks,
Right.
and I help to reconcile the statements.
Okay. And then you also vote on it, correct? You vote as well.
Yes, all of the 7 members, including the school board representatives, are voting members. There are 7 members.
My recommendation to the board, talking to the superintendent, we reappoint the way it is, and we work on our policy for the next time the elections are up, and we'll move from there. Is there any objection to that?
No, when Bob stays on as the representative.
What is the
advisor.
rotation? You have 2 members coming up next year?
Yes, every year,
Every
2
year, 2.
members come up in the rotation.
So that would give more time to sit and get all the policies together, notify everybody ahead of time how you're going to go about this business so that everybody knows, have further conversations with the library board, and we're not going to interrupt their business by changing people midstream.
I don't disagree, and I think this is a collaboration again.
Yeah.
With making sure that we're all working together and we're on the same page. We want that. We want the library to thrive. We want our community members to thrive. We don't want to impede anything. Again, just like this meeting happened last month, it was kind of out of control. So making sure that we're all collaborating on the same page is something we want to maintain. I don't have any objections to doing that, but I do want to get this worked on if it takes us a year.
Well, that's what we'll do, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from there. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on agenda items only? Seeing none, can I have a...
I'd like to make one statement about this. It should be noted publicly and documented that this was not an act of antagonism or anything of that nature. Rather, it was an opportunity for the collective boards to do things a little bit better than we have in the past. I know that this table, I feel comfortable speaking from this table, we don't want to go through the crap that we went through last year, and we know that nobody in the community on the library board or nobody else wants to go through that either. So please make sure that this is remembered as an act of good faith and not an opportunity to cause any type of disruption or anything of that nature. Once again, we're put in a position where we have to, put our best feet forward and really find that common ground. And thank you for coming and voicing your concern. I'm glad we were able to establish a working relationship there. But just remember, this is not an act of antagonism. I want to make sure that that's very clear.
Look, I'd like to mention one thing on that also. And with what Barron said, I would agree, because last meeting, the atmosphere at that meeting was that this board was opposed to the library, which couldn't be further from the truth. We don't know where that came from, okay? And that's one of the reasons that we'd like to have representation on that board so we can observe what's going on and be more proactive in preventing that. But personally, I was offended at the message that was sent to the public, at the accusations that were made to the public that somehow we were going to disband the library. And I don't think anyone on this board even gave that a thought. Okay, so these are things that I think we have to work out, because I do feel somewhat of an antagonistic relationship here. And it shouldn't be, because the library is one of the best things for the community. The school board certainly doesn't want that to end. I mean, that's an asset. Okay, so just so we understand each other.
Would you like a response to
Sure.
some of the reasons that happened?
I would be curious.
Yes, because you did have representation at our board, and that was Michelle. And Michelle said, our library board meetings are public meetings. And for months, Michelle came to our library board meetings and said, you do not have enough positive votes on the school board to pass your budget.
I said that we don't know, and that it also, we need to have changes made, and the numbers need to add up.
Yes.
And that was.
Excuse me, I don't know if this should be discussed right now.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that.
Okay, but you are surprised, and it shouldn't be a surprise, because the messages you were sending through your representative.
Well, we weren't sending any messages. What the representative decided to
Isn't that the
indulge.
role of that representative, to bring to the library board the news from the Board of Education? We believed what.
Ma'am, hold on. We're gonna stop it now. We're not gonna discuss it.
Okay.
We're gonna move on. Number 7, can I have approval of the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Executive session as listed. Can I have a motion? Everyone need it, right? Number 9, personnel. Can I have a motion to accept 9A through N, 10A through I, 11A through C, and 12A through E?
So moved. That's appropriate.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Number 13, other business. Letter A, Easton Area Public Library Board appointments. Can I have a motion to appoint, Ms. Walker, Mr. Riley?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Public to be heard on non-agenda items only. Anyone on non-agenda items? Please sign in and state your name and where you're from.
Good evening. My name is Donna Taggart, and my company is Taggart Associates, and we've been working with a developer. I thought we were going to be on the agenda for tonight, but when it didn't come up, I thought I'd better ask. It's about a redevelopment property with some back taxes, and we had submitted a letter.
Ma'am,
Yes.
we're not, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Donna, that there clearly needs to be, after several discussions over the last several weeks, more information and more communication between us and also with our solicitor regarding the whole business, the request for your request. So that's why you don't see it on the agenda. There was no way was anyone comfortable putting it on the agenda tonight without having some further clarification.
So what are the next steps?
I don't know. I have to depend on our solicitor to give us guidance as to when and how your request should be handled by the board. So we have talked about this. There were some fundamental questions that the board had related to the transfer, related to the taxes, the back taxes.
I'm assuming Ms. Taggart could receive an email or a call from either yourself or our solicitor
Yes,
this week,
that
right?
we could get together and talk about it. So, in the very, very near future.
Just need some more information. If we can set up a time to talk with you, we probably have.
We'd be happy to do that. My client drove up tonight to be part of this meeting because we thought we were on the agenda. So we're very anxious to get a decision one way or the other. So the sooner the better for us, so we can move forward with the redevelopment.
But you to make it clear to me, your client was coming from out of the area. You said you were coming.
Well, that was
And
last
so,
week.
and that's why when we talked about this further over the past 2 weeks, it was very clear that we needed to get more information from this.
Okay, so I can expect that. You want me to give you a card?
Please. Our next board meeting is Ms. Taggart, our next voting meeting won't be until July 26th. Right? Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on non-agenda items only? Seeing none, is there any other business from board members? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. I just received a note. We have a quick executive session. Meeting adjourned.